2, 1.
Well, hello, social media. It is DC mayor candidate Rhonda Hamilton. Run, tell somebody and let them know, guys. I hope you guys have a moment to sit in. As you know me, we're out here on this campaign trail, and many DC citizens are speaking out. Guys, the headlines, one after the other, are coming out, whether it's about the police and their negligence with not doing the right thing in the community level that keeps us all at danger, whether or not it is the splitting up of DCRA because they told us that was the problem with our ongoing slumlord and housing issues. But you know me, I'm your girl, and I've been out here stumping as an advocate for mental health, as the president of Healthy DC and Me Leadership, and also MI Mother's Keeper. We have been intentional about keeping the light shine on the issues of mental health, the issues of introduced trauma in the communities and in your living environments, and most importantly, among our children. So guys, I want you to know something. On November the 8th, I am asking that you write me in to be the new mayor so that our leadership can take a turn in the direction of leadership that's prepared to manage properly. You know, I talk to a lot of citizens, and today will be no different. I have offered my citizens, my brave citizens that are willing to come forward and tell their testimony, which you're going to hear in just a minute, the anonymity of not having to be exposed unnecessarily. This is about getting the word out. So if you out there have a story that you too need to become empowered to tell, then we want to hear from you. Timing is everything. I know you've been going through it for a while. I'm sure you've done it before. I'm sure you've told somebody and nothing happened and you've sat frustrated. Well, today is about you. November the 8th, we all have an opportunity to vote and change and bring difference to the nation's capital. Yes, the public housing reports came out. Yes, HUD disclosed what we already knew, what you've been saying out there. You're living with the rodents. You're living with the bugs, living through the winter with no heat, summertime no AC. They're raising your rent on these subpar apartments. You've got ceilings that are leaking, and on top of everything, some of you, many of you, are getting supportive services through the system. And that's what I want to focus on today. See, I want you to know that my decision to run for mayor of Washington, D.C. had very much to do with all of the stories attached to these human heroes, these brave souls that deal with this negligent system day in and day out. See, they'll show you the report and tell you that this is what they found because they could no longer keep it under wraps. But what they're not going to do is go to the heart of the problem and help you to meet some beautiful souls that have been dealing with this that no one should have to deal with. And so if today's story resonates with you or someone you know, please allow it to motivate you to recognize why we have to vote and why we have to be intentional on challenging everybody we know to vote. We have citizens out here in D.C. sleeping in the streets. Our children are going to school with voices. They're afraid. They hear sirens from the police engines day in and day out. The ambulances are followed behind. Guys, we are living under siege. And with that said, I would love for you to take a moment. I hope that I've talked long enough to let you know that this is about us. This is about the citizens of D.C. Many of us are natives of D.C., just like my beautiful guest today. And many of us have migrated here. But nonetheless, I'm running to be the next mayor of D.C. so that we can have a D.C. for all. Our children have to inherit responsible governing. So when we're talking about this gentrification and this economic gap and the reality that our small businesses feel that they're going to be wiped out by this big business agenda, we've got to be vigilant about making sure that we speak up. So where are my whistleblowers out there? Because this HUD report and all of these other headlines that are coming out, that's the institutional's understanding of what is going on. But where are my human stories about what's going on? because you guys know that this system needs to be changed. And right now we have opportunity. So I want you to know that there's an organization called Home Care Watch. And I want to read something to you. Home Care Watch's sole function is to get better oversight and daily evaluations of services that are provided by home care workers and PCAs. It says that they plan to help bring attention to the lack of oversight, lack of quality control issues regarding home care workers and PCAs. So what am I talking about? Guys, many of the district residents and citizens receive services from DC home care community. And I'm going to say something, and it's going to sound really harsh, but I want to be real. Not everybody is qualified or cares enough to do the kind of important work that it takes to go in and out of people's homes daily and make sure that their well-being is taken care of. And that's why it's important that we have proper oversights in place. So when you start talking about needing accountable government, it means we need to make sure that the citizens that are receiving care are not placed in harm's way. I'm going to shift gears here. I want you to hear a true account from one of our native citizens who's been receiving services from the district, who also happens to be the president and CEO for Home Care Watch. And those of you that know me, we do our work on the go. And so the horns that you're hearing would be the traffic outside, but we're not going to let that stop this word. Please share this feed. I'd like for this brave citizen's story to get out, and we're going to be bringing you more because there are so many. And without any further ado, I want to thank you for sitting with me today. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
I like hearing that. Home Care Watch is very needed because we know that the oversights in the district, both from the headlines of the stories that are coming out and from everyday citizens that are crying foul and just frustrated. Would you help our beautiful social media audience understand your plight as a DC citizen and how it is that you've become the president of Home Care Watch and why you thought there was a need for it?
Great. Thank you so much for coming. And I love the opportunity to share what life has come to me. First of all, there's a couple of things that is very important. Number one, let's talk about what we're really talking about. When we're talking about people who, for a number of different kind of situations, are still able to enjoy and be in their personal homes. Mm-hmm. They're not in a nursing home. They're not in a assisted living home. They're in their own home. Mm-hmm. So that when you are able to still do and enjoy your home, but you need assistance depending on what your circumstances are. Mm-hmm. In my own case, I am fortunate enough that my issues are strictly physical. Mm-hmm. Both of my needs need replacement and that kind of thing. So it's that I can't do a lot of things that I normally would be able to do. Mm-hmm. That's why I have had to have someone to come in and to assist me in my own home. Mm-hmm. And I will say that a lot, because unlike in a nursing home or assisted living home, when they call them sometimes CPAs, personal care aides or assistants, it is just that person and me, or I will use the word client. I will refer to myself as client and the people who get this service as clients. There's no one there but that person, the client, and the aide. Mm-hmm. So no one knows. There's a lot of different ways that you can be cruel and abusive
Mm-hmm.
without ever touching the person.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask you or say something to you and you ignore me, you're abusing me.
Mm-hmm.
If you come to my house and sit on your phone all day long
Mm-hmm.
while you're making $16 or $17 an hour, and I have had a little bit of education,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of exposure,
Mm-hmm.
no one has ever paid me a dime
Mm-hmm.
to do that. You're not here for that. I personally have had so many cruel things to happen to me in my own home.
I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about that because you know that there are many D.C. citizens that don't experience this, and you are helping them to even think about it or contemplate it. One of the cruel things that I've heard from a citizen in their home, and of course not all workers are doing these things, but the fact that any of them are doing it brings up a big enough concern that we've got to address it. We have citizens that are exposed to rape in their home. Just as you mentioned, there's nobody there. There are no cameras there. There's just your word against your aide word, and there are many of these stories that have been reported. I've participated as an advocate in many of these cases. Would you help us understand, without violating your personal space, what would be something awful that a D.C. citizen would understand you would have had to endure in these situations?
Sure, love to. Let me start with something that seems so basic and just unbelievable. Speaking to someone. Now, I'm able to talk. Mm-hmm. I'm able to speak. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. There are many clients. They're on medication. Mm-hmm. They got different kinds of issues. And you say to your aide, you speak to your aide, whatever it is that you're asking them, would you prepare this? Or I'd like to have this done. I want it done. And the aide immediately tells you, or just don't tell you anything. Just pay you no mind. Mm-hmm. Totally ignore you. Mm-hmm. Now, this is devastating. Mm-hmm. And I've had aides to say things to me. I don't need you to tell me how to do that. This is how I fix it. Look, person, mm-hmm. and I'm being very polite here when I say person. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't care how you do it. Mm-hmm. I want it done. You're here to do my stuff my way.
You know, and you speak on something. There are many citizens, like you say, you can speak and you can react, but there are so many citizens in our system that can't, and they feel like they're being held hostage by these relationships.
They are.
And there's a sense of dignity that you feel like you're being robbed for someone just coming in, ignoring you, mistreating you, whether it's physical, mental, like you said, by not even speaking to you. A lot of this behavior is intentional. And what I want to touch on, what happens when you call the city to say that you're challenged with your caregiver relationship? What happened for you?
That's one of the biggest issues. That's why I had to start Home Care Watch. Mm-hmm. There are, let's just make it simple. It's a conversation. Mm-hmm. First of all, when I say there is no oversight, I have never had any kind of job where anybody paid me 50 cents, mm-hmm. where there was no anything to even see whether or not that somebody was happy with the service. Mm-hmm. Nobody has ever asked me if it's okay, if the aide is doing their job or not doing their job, if there are any issues. And when I call both D.C. government agencies, mm-hmm. it's to navigate getting someone, and I mean, I'm able to do that. I'm very comfortable with, because I get upset with my own self because I want to just leave things alone and just say, well, oh boy.
Yeah, it gets frustrating.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I can't do that.
Why can't you do that?
Because I'm an advocate. I've been one all my life.
That's right.
And I can't help myself.
Yeah. And for you, what does it mean to be an advocate? Because a lot of folks are just starting to hear that terminology.
You're correct. Let me tell you what it means for me. I'm not talking about this and fighting about this for me. I'm doing this for all the clients who are not, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, are able to do it. And number one, when a person walk to my door and step inside of this house right here, as soon as you hear me talking and see the stuff that I'm doing and dealing with, that should tell you that, wait a minute, this person right here, I might not want to handle him like I've been handling everybody else.
And they still try, you don't.
And look, I tell them I done wrote a book, there's 20 chapters, I got a YouTube channel, my books are on Amazon.
And they don't mean anything. They
Not a thing.
Just look at you for being this person that need their services, so they're going to come in and just disrupt your life.
And they even tell me, see, number one, let's start with something that we really should have started with. I should have started with it. First of all, number one, these PCAs are not even employees. So the agencies that they are subcontractors up to cannot say to them, see, as an employee, this is what happens. We know what an employee is, but employee is. But let me just go through it very shortly and quickly. I offer a job. I tell you what I want, what hours I want you to work, what days I want you to work, and what I want you to perform, and how I want you to perform that. Now, as an employee, if you don't want to or don't do that, then I simply will fire you. That's not the case with these people.
And I'm glad you make that point, because as we talk about the lack of oversight, what we as DC citizens have to realize that in that are the many, many contracts that have been awarded to these agencies where the services are not being appropriately provided. You know out there. You know how many times you've been frustrated on the telephone trying to get someone to be accountable because you didn't get a service, or you didn't get the housing, or you didn't get a follow-up. And in this case, when you depend on these services from the city, and these folks are showing up in your home, and you don't have anyone to complain to, see, on the far end of it is rape and being exposed to criminal understandings without anyone there to protect that understanding. The government is supposed to be in place for that when you're receiving services and they're awarding these contracts. So that's what makes the lack of oversight so important and scary right now. Now, let's be real. Everybody is not doing this, but the fact that we have a problem in our housing system and our social service systems that are not providing oversight to our DC citizens, these are the kinds of things we need you voting about on November the 8th. We can't leave our citizens sitting out there with leadership that won't take their calls, that won't put policies in place that will be enforced. We got many, many stories. Not one DC citizen needs to be robbed, abused, raped, mentally challenged in their homes or otherwise on this administration's watch. Public government is supposed to always be about the people. And it's these kinds of stories that we want to make sure that are fresh in your mind. So when you say, oh, I don't need to vote, yes, you do. There are many citizens that are being held hostages in their homes by these caregiving situations that don't have the proper level of oversight. And that is the mayor's responsibility and the DC Council's responsibility to make sure that the oversights are in place. See, I'm running for office because my work as an advocate has educated me about all of what many of the citizens are crying for help about. And so today's citizen is so brave. She started the Home Care Watch organization. What is it that you had in mind with Home Care Watch, and what can the DC citizens expect Home Care Watch to be?
The number one thing, first and foremost, is making available the information of where a person can pick up even a flip phone and make a call to someone
for somebody to respond,
and not just one, and all kinds of different things where people are supposed to be, even with the legal counsel for the elderly. And I myself am just joined as a buzzman.
Okay.
And they about ready to throw me out.
I'm glad you joined the Buzzman. I'm so glad. Do you know what Ombudsman is out there, guys? That is what the city is calling an oversight. But the truth of the matter is, I'm so happy to hear that our citizens are finding their way to joining these boards and these forums and the oversights, because it's missing. We need to hear from you all. And the reason why I wanted to go live with this, because I want you guys to get used to knowing that what's going on in this city is about you. It's supposed to be about you. And everybody needs to start taking time to make the time to speak up and looking into these matters. All of us know somebody that are receiving services from the city. And it's time that you start to think about it in the situation of the oversight. What happens when someone's in their home and these folks are showing up that have been contracted by the city, and their bedside manner isn't the best, and our citizens are feeling under siege in their own home? Who's supposed to answer for that? You know what gatekeeping is? Gatekeeping is positioning people throughout the system so that your problem never reaches the person that it should reach, so that they can conveniently say when the media comes or when the police comes, when criminal acts happen, oh, we didn't know. We weren't aware of that. Well, you would have been aware if you answered the phone when these folks are calling. So I want you to know that we got citizens here in D.C. that are just not sitting down and taking it. This brave citizen has started Home Care Watch because she wants to help other citizens in the city that are dealing with what she's dealing with. And that is not having anyone to call when you're sitting in your home feeling handicapped. And as you heard her say, she doesn't have the use of her legs, but her brain, her mental capacity, and her intellectual understandings are very well intact. And so it's not okay to come in people's home and rob them of their dignity because they need services. So DC, this is Rhonda Hamilton. On November the 8th, we've got work to do. From now until then, I'm going to bring you many stories of all of these beautiful citizens that are meeting on the trail who have these real life stories. And I need you to understand that, because the humanity is what's missing in our city. We may have beautiful buildings, and this current mayor touts her experience, but where she's inexperienced is in managing matters of community. She has mismanaged the matters of community so much that many DC citizens are feeling hostage in their homes. There are stories that have been brushed under the rug so that this administration would not have to be made to look as though they were not so out of touch with what you guys are going through. So I want you to stay tuned. And I want you to know that the stories that are coming through the post are not the only story. What about the citizens that are being impacted by the mismanagement of DC's affairs? That's what I want you to pay attention to as we get ready to vote November the 8th. And if you've already gotten your early ballot, I would appreciate it if you would write in Rhonda Hamilton to be DC's mayor. And I would appreciate if you would share that understanding with everyone you know. Because we can't have citizens in Washington, D.C. that are left to feel as though they're a hostage either in their home or by this city because they don't have proper oversights or care. And the next time you think that it's not necessary for you to vote, think about if your life changed and you had to depend on the city and there was someone showing up on your doorstep who didn't answer to anyone and who you were left home with and who you should be able to trust but are not able to. Guys, November the 8th is very important. It is not about party. It is about people. The people that you and I live with, pass by, commune with, and talk to daily. It is about the many natives of Washington, D.C. that are crying out for change and that need to understand that they're not alone. I thank you for your bravery.
Thank you.
Home Care Watch, how will they reach you? I have an
20
email here.
Yes.
Okay.
And a phone number, 202
Okay.
331
Okay.
4418.
Awesome.
Once again, 202 331 4418.
Okay, and this is a number I can call if I myself am home and I'm dealing with the situation.
Absolutely.
And I want someone to come and help immediately. I can call this number.
We won't be coming out to help. It's not like we
Okay.
got physical people that's coming in.
Okay.
But we want to know about it so that we can direct you and contact
Okay.
someone who needs to know about your situation.
Okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have help out there. If you or someone you know is receiving services from the city, where someone's coming out to help you in a home health aid capacity, personal assistant capacity, a PCA, home giver, provider, you know all these new relationships that are being formed throughout the city to help our citizens. We don't want those services backfiring. We want you to know that you have support. 202-331-4418, homecarewatch@gmail.com. And then also you can go to www.rhondahamilton4dcmayor.com. We have a blog, a whistleblower blog. If there are things that you need to tell us and you need to stay anonymous about it, if there are things inside of that system that you know are placing D.C. citizens in harm, we need you speaking up. And we're going to stay in touch with Home Care Watch. We're going to support their work, and we're going to make sure that they have the kinds of resources that they need to help support your calls as they come in. Because we care about D.C. citizens, we care about our children, we care about our seniors. Guys, it's time to start caring about one another. That is why I started the MI Mother's Keeper Mental Health Agency many years ago. Because my mom walked these streets and was unable to get accountability from the city for the services that she received. It's time, D.C., that we take our power back and speak up. You are not alone out there, and the city has to be made to be accountable. Right now, they're having to answer for the negligence of their mismanagement of the housing services, and we want them to answer for the negligence of their mismanagement of all of the social services that include the services that you are going through and trying to receive and are not properly receiving oversight for. I'm running for mayor because this kind of nonsense has to stop. Is there anything you'd like to share before we wrap up with our audience out there?
Yes.
Please do.
Vote for Rhonda Hamilton. And how will you vote for her? You're going to write her name in as a write-in to be the next mayor for Washington, D.C. That's what I want to share.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. Guys, your calls are coming in. I hear you. Every hand that I shake, every conversation that I have means the world to me. This is not about me. This is about us. This is about us bringing about effective change so that all D.C. citizens will matter. Please share this feed, guys. It's time to go to work. November the 8th, write your girl in, Rhonda Hamilton. Thank you.